Dhamaka.
Dhamaka.
My name is Lakhan.
जहाँ खड़े हो जाते हैं लाइन वहीं से शुरू होती है।
तुमने कभी किसी से प्यार किया?
Hi and welcome to a new episode of Khandaan Podcast. My name is Asim Bernie and I'm joined with my lovely co-hosts Amrita and Sujoy. Hey Amrita, hey Sujoy.
Hey everybody, including Takral.
Welcome to the show.
I think we're talking about Meri Jung in this episode, a movie which I feel I have manipulated the whole entire situation and created this series only to talk about Meri Jung. This is basically what's happened. And I feel it's also the kind of movie where I should only address you guys with your full names. Mm-hmm. So, Amrita Rajan. You know, that's the kind of movie this is. Guys, I'm so excited to talk about Meri Jung. After Kalia, I was nervous.
Yeah.
I was really, really nervous because on Kalia, we were like coming in high. We were like, this is going to be amazing. And Meri Jung, I got me worried because I realized watching it, I hadn't seen it in a while. And I was like, man, maybe this movie won't hold up. Maybe it's not going to be as good. Boy, I was wrong. This is the best movie ever made.
I wouldn't say that, but all my worries just evaporated away the moment the opening credits happened and it said written by Javed. Which is Javed of Javed Akhtar. And I was like, yeah, we are in safe hands, man.
Yeah, it's back in the day where he was just like, Cher, like on the first name basis. He was Beyonce.
Yeah. He was Seal.
Yeah, exactly. Seal.
He was McLovin.
Yeah. I just I can't even comprehend how this movie hit me, and I will disagree with you. This is what for other people Satyajit Ray is. This is for me Meri. This is what this is. This is what Citizen Kane is for other people. This is what Meri Jung is for me. I will go to war for Meri Jung.
This is your war.
This is Meri Jung. This is हर कदम
जीत जाएंगे हम. Guards. Guards.
Amrita, let's start with a little summary, if you want to. What's Meri Jung about?
Well, technically, it's about a lot of things. It is about a young man who witnessed his innocent father be hanged for a crime that he did not commit, grow up to become a lawyer with the dream of reuniting his family and also to stand for justice for the innocent.
And claim back his piano.
Mm. So, Sujoy, man, when was the last time you saw Meri Jung?
Oh, I haven't seen this in the digital era, I would say. Like, this is a very analog movie in my memory. I did not get to watch it at the cinema when it released because I was probably way too young. So this is a proper VHS movie for me. Not only VHS, but a black and white movie for me because we had a black and white TV then, right? And we had like rented VHS player. And like one of those made in Burma imports. It was an Akai or a Funai, one of those. And then we used to rent the Meri Jung videotape every, I don't know, now and then. Because this was such a 80s high kind of a movie. And I remember rewatching it many, many years, when I was like 10 or something, a whole year of just Meri Jung. And then it just disappeared from my life.
Yeah.
Other than the title track, which is just like a ghost in my life, it always pops up out of nowhere. Maybe not like Javed Jaffrey and his legacy of rock and roll came through during the Boogie Woogie period in the 90s when satellite TV and Sony TV came into our life, and he came back into existence again. But other than that, Meri Jung has been like that analog VHS movie for me. it did not. I did not go back and rewatch it in color, which is weird because it's a cinema scope, 35 shot really wide movie. And the restoration in the ultra print that is available on YouTube is pristine. And it was such a treat to rewatch it in that.
Yeah. For me, it was one of those cassettes. I think one of my family members in Pakistan used to have it. I don't know if it was my nani's ghar or my taya's ghar. Somebody had it on VHS. So every time I used to go to Pakistan, I used to watch it on repeat, and I never had it back home. And it's also one of those movies that I don't feel has been reappreciated or reevaluated or kind of gotten, it's a classic, like so many others. It's not one of those. So I had not even seen it in years, but this movie lives in me, which I realized. Amrita, what about you? What's your memory of Meri Jung?
Yeah, it's pretty much what Sujoy is saying as well. Like, I remember this from the before times. Excuse me. This was very much a staple of like the cable TV era. I remember it was a favorite of we used to have like an intra network within the community where we lived.
Yeah.
And, the video tape parlor guy used to program it with whatever he wanted to watch. And he wanted to watch Meri Jung quite a bit. So we saw that, I remember. This was probably...
So George Kutti loves Meri Jung. That's an inside Drishyam joke for
So this went on maybe late 80s, early 90s. It used to be on TV all the time. And I really, really remember the Bol Baby Bol track. That was something that I really remember. And then, of course, the piano and the Meri Jung song, that is obviously something that I remember. But that's literally, I think, the only two things that I remember.
So watching the movie, I was kind of going back and reading a bit about it. And I mean, you're saying it's written by Javed, but it feels to me at least that this was a clear Salim Javed movie, not a just Javed movie. And what the urban legend is supposed to be is that when Salim Javed split up as a writing duo, they just kind of divided up, the scripts one and one, basically that Akshay Kumar comedy sequence, ek tera do mere, that kind of thing. That basically what happened. And they were supposed to make this with Amitabh. Ramesh Sippy was supposed to direct it, and it was supposed to be called Shatranj. Amitabh went into politics, and Anil Kapoor kind of stepped into this role. He basically had this. He came off Mashal. He made this and Mr. India. It catapulted Anil Kapoor to the star that he became. Basically,
it's clearly an angry young man movie, right? And but it is a young man, Anil, as well. And so that energy of the anger and the volume, because Anil is so angry in this movie.
Anil is on 11 the whole movie. The whole movie he's on 11.
And it's a great 11.
It's an amazing great 11. Stay on 11.
I also had forgotten that all throughout the 80s, for some reason, Anil Kapoor just looked sunburnt.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that is about.
It looks so cool. I don't know what it is. His hair is messy. He looks dusty as F. And looks
right
so cool.
Until Lame, when he got
when Yash Chopra got his hands on him, cleaned him up.
Yash Chopra was like, here is some moisturizer.
First Dettol and then moisturizer.
Pani pio.
Yeah, because his look is very Joshile. Joshile, that's the kind of look he had, and maybe he was shooting both of them at the same time. But there's two movies of this look that I really like, because this is a look I like on Anil Kapoor. I like Joshile, and there was one where he got the Patata Vada one with Madhuri.
Freaking hell, what was that?
I'm going to blank on the name, but those two, and I'm going to get to this the point later on, but Hifazat. That is the peak Anil Kapoor's sunburned, dusty look, and it looks so cool. Especially when he was wearing sometimes this brown leather jacket that was like all faded. It's just like these Anil Kapoor things that I like. I love Anil Kapoor. So this is supposed to be made as Shatranj. They didn't get it together. Anil Kapoor took over. And I love this movie because it is a legal drama written by people that have never stepped into court and have any understanding of how the law works at all. Basically, how the law works for them is Judge Saab, he did it. Judge Saab, he didn't do it. Judge Saab, he did it. And that's how you win a court case. Which, in a way, shows you maybe that is actually how the law and the court system works, basically.
There's two other things. At one point, we get to hear about the reputation of Thakral, right?
Yeah.
And he never loses. But when you see his process, he's pretty much cooking stories in front of the judge. ऐसा भी हो सकता है, ऐसा भी हो सकता है. क्या आपने ये किया है?
He's basically Kaiser Soze in Usual Suspects. He's just looking at things and making up a story as he goes along. Like
it's crazy. And then the second bit is lawyers kick ass, like not in a metaphorical way, but actually. The introduction of Anil Kapoor as we transition from the young boy who is sitting outside being a peon, then you see the B-roll of the books that he's reading. And then the next bit is he's wearing that black coat and he's being a lawyer and he's like making arguments for the steel mill because he's Mazduro ka representative. But also you see him actually beating up goons and handing them over to the police because he is law. He is the...
I am the law.
He is the law.
No, he is a full service lawyer. Like when you hire, Anil Kapoor as your lawyer, he will come, he will like beat up the goons for you, he will get them arrested, and then he will prosecute them.
All your needs will be met. 360-degree service going on at Anil Kapoor's law firm. But honestly,
he's
as
the
a kid,
Shadik Mubarak of lawyers.
But honestly, I watched Meri Jung and I wanted to become a lawyer. Like that's how I can wear a black coat and punch people. Like this is the job. This is the best job ever.
Maybe in a country like India, we do need like lawyers like him.
That's what I'm saying. In a way, it shows what the justice system should become. But obviously, any masala movie needs to start with tragedy, right? And this movie, sure, like really gets into the tragedy of it. And man, the tragedy that these kids go through goes on for a very long time. Like they are in misery for a very, very long time.
It's not a cold open. It's a cold as fuck open.
Exactly. So you have so the kids lose their dad, they lose their mom, they lose their house, they lose their piano. They lose their piano. They're sitting on the street. They're like begging for scraps.
The motif of a Bollywood tragedy is that there has to be A.K. Hangal in it.
I want to talk about A.K. Hangal separately because imagine all of this tragedy is happening and your hopes are pinned on A.K. Hangal saving you. How screwed are you? A.K. Hangal is the worst lawyer that has ever lawyered.
Like he shows up on screen, like so the movie begins with like Nutan running to the court with her children and A.K. Hangal is like, "Are behan, hum aa gayi," and immediately that her behan is going to lose her case because A.K. Hangal is not going to win any case.
Lawyer A.K. Hangal gives up the moment. Nutan says, "What will we do?" And I was like, "I'm trying all I can, ma'am. I'm trying." I was like, how is this? Like, this is the first thing you're saying to this poor lady. So he basically gives up before he steps into the court. Then in the court, he's just giving layups to Thakral. So Thakral dumping it in arguments. Then he dissipates. Like Thakral is going on a monologue for 30 minutes. A.K. Hangal is not even in scene. He's not even objecting. He's not even saying anything. And then he goes outside And he says, I've made him admit to these false charges. Just please don't give him capital punishment, please. I was like, what kind of lawyering is this?
Yeah.
And then when like the whole thing comes out and they realize that the father was innocent after all, he's like, you should be ashamed, Thakral, that you sent an innocent man to his death. And Thakral is like, eat this, and like drives off. And I'm like, yeah, what did we think was going to happen?
So after he begs Takral to get a lesser sentence, he sees Nutan, and Nutan is like, what's going on? He's like, Bhagwan hi koi chamatkar karega. He's like, what? And then the final nail on the coffin, when Arun is like, he figures out that he's screwed. Like the kid is screwed as a 7-year-old. AK uncle calls him Urun. It's like, guy, you didn't even know the kid's name? Urun? Urun is not even a name. AK Hungal, man. The worst lawyer ever.
AK versus AK.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I was just like, man, he was so bad. I was on Thakral's side. I was like, Thakral is making sense at least. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna win this court. My job is not to believe or not believe. My job is to prosecute this guy. Didn't make sense. Like even later on, there's the Dr. Saab that comes to Thakral with his court case, right? Like, oh, my wife is a doctor and she poisoned this person and stuff like that. Can you? And Thakral is looking at the file. He's like, this is a ridiculous case. I'm not going to take this on. And I was like, yeah, Thakral, that makes sense. I wouldn't take this case on either. Oh, yeah.
I'd forgotten that Girish Karnad plays the dad. Like, that is not something that I remembered.
But he's literally there to die. And
Yeah.
it's just, sadly.
What do you think of Nutan, though?
Yeah.
So, this is the first movie I ever saw of Nutan's.
Oh.
I know. So, for me, she has been frozen in this mom that goes crazy. And that moment, that sequence where she goes crazy has been burnt in my head. And I found that the most scary thing ever. Like, there was this thing about taking moms away in the 80s. And it just like messed me up. They did this in Coolie. They did this in here. They did this in that. Remember that horrible Mithun movie where Halwa Wala? I don't know. It was Dance or something like that. Also, they kidnapped the mom after Zubi for like 30 years. And I was like, man, this is like the worst thing ever. And when she goes crazy, it was like one of the scariest things I had ever seen. So for me, it was always very tough to go back and watch older Nutan movies because I just could not see her as a young woman. She was just like always the old lady, stuck in a mental institute. Which
I was actually taken aback a little bit when I saw her because to me, like she is a much older actress than Girish Karnad. Because, like I remember Girish Karnad from the 1970s and I remember Nutan from the 1950s.
Yeah.
But that's also a testament to just how young women are when they enter Hindi cinema. Not as much now, I guess, but even now you do see a few kids who will be like 13, 14 years old and who have like a full-fledged career as a lead actress or something. Like Tamanna Bhatia was like 14 when she started. And I think that was true for Nutan as well because she and Girish Karnad, they were like 2 years apart in age or something, or like a year apart in age. So it was actually really good casting, but it was just so, like it took me a little while.
Yeah. I mean, she's great though. She's great in the pre, in the younger part where she's kind of, she's so desperate. Like she has no avenue to save her husband at all for these trumped up charges that they've like just like put piled on top of him. And even that sequence where, that literal 80s sequence where she'll go to beg at the villain for mercy. And, Thakral ka thadki jaag jata hai, it's like something like, maybe I should make a move here, which does, and then she switches up into this fury anger So yeah, I thought all of that was great, and then even that desperation where she's at the mandir and this guy that's actually given the false testimony admits to her, which is against. This is where Ravi Badass Ravi Kumar is saying the truth, because all of this makes no sense. Yeah, he confesses on the steps of the mandir that he gave false testimony and her husband is actually innocent. She runs to the jail. The jail is only 2 kilometers away, but again, I've said this before, nobody does cardio back in the day. So it takes her a very long time. Husband is already dead, and she goes pretty much crazy, right? But
Yeah.
also the second part, when she kind of comes back, that is
That's
the one.
the bit, yeah.
You and me, Sujoy, were talking
Yeah.
about it yesterday, right?
Yeah, the build-up is that she goes insane, and the lead is to like why she goes insane, the desperation and the circumstances that are piling up on her, and she just remains frozen in that moment. And once she gets that next shock from the song, and all that memory comes back to her, right? And her sort of personality thaws from that frozen in time, and then like she realizes that all this while her kids have been growing, and like all the years that she's missed between that. So she saw her child, her only son and only daughter, being like 10 and 5 or whatever, and then now all of a sudden they're adults and she's not been there to take care of them, and the guilt of that as an Indian parent would, I suppose. But also like the whole thing about they were looking up to her to take care of them, and she was not there for them. She like that is so brilliantly conveyed in that whole melodrama. And the song hits, and then she joins in the song. Just their mind blown,
Yeah, and it takes her a while to join the song, even, right? Like it really like takes her to form the words, and like it's coming back. It's so well done. I was crying. I was bawling. I had a tough week. This guys, I watched Wild Robot, Interstellar, and Meri Jung together. I was like, just
so much parent trauma.
So much parent trauma. And again, I think watching, like, I think as a young kid, when you watch Meri Jung, you're only connecting with the anger and the revenge part. Now watching it as a parent, you're connecting with Nutan to a way that you didn't before. That, oh my God, her first thing is like, I've saved this little money in my mental asylum. Can you give it to my kids? Because they must be needing it. And that's basically, they really needed it. Like because the movies take such a time to show the misery they've gone through. Like they were begging for scraps, they could have really used that money, and she couldn't do it. And you can't even blame her, right? Like, but yeah, it's so well played. I was crying. Anil Kapoor becomes a lawyer, and he's just lawyering left and right. The first case, or like he's already a successful lawyer, actually, right? Like he's not even
like there is a reputation, because that's why when Takral does not get it, Meenakshi Seshadri's like her choice is, I've heard about this young and upcoming lawyer who's winning cases, and she's got the hots for him, straight away.
Yeah. Would you not?
Yeah. I mean, canned Anil Kapoor, angry in a black suit,
constantly angry. But so the case is Meenakshi's sister has poisoned one of her patients, and there's basically no proof, but I don't know who they switched the bottles or something like that to poison, right? And Anil Kapoor wins this case by drinking the whole poison bottle and then saying, "Hey, there's no poison." It wasn't poison at all.
There's a lot of evidence tampering live in court in this movie. It's crazy.
This movie has no respect for the law. No respect for due process. Yeah. But I was watching it and I was like, maybe Meenakshi's sister does need to go to jail. Like, she's not... Like, why was she keeping these medicine in her wardrobe, in her cupboard? Like this, like, you don't have Nestrum 500? I'll have it here in my, cupboard. I'll just bring it along. That's not how doctors should be working. This is not... What did you think of that whole dramatic poison angle scene?
That was actually the one scene that I really remember. So it might not be like legally sound, but dramatically it's very sound,
Very,
because like
very
I
sound.
remember it from like my childhood, having never watched this movie in like 30 years. I was just like, oh yeah, I know how he gets her out of jail. And I didn't remember it until they were in court and he was making his arguments. Because until then I was just like, yeah, I don't really know how he's gonna get her out of this. And then he started making his arguments, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, he's gonna
Yeah.
drink the poison. I remember now. And yeah, that's what he did.
Yeah.
It's
But it's
amazing.
also such an interesting subplot. We get to see Anil lawyer, but it's also the subplot that brings him closer to the piano, right?
Mm.
And then the also one of 80s tropes is there is no, like, everything is larger than life. The Haveli where the doctors live has the largest Mughal carpet in the living room. It's just from one end to the other. It's 1 square kilometer worth, of footage. It's nuts.
This is all
But
all rich people. This
Yeah.
is a rich people
oh
world
yeah,
basically, right?
it's funny though, because they show like the Girish Khan and Nutan home, and they're supposed to be like this lower class family or whatever, but they have a giant
grand
piano.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I don't. What kind of lower class people are these?
I loved it. I loved it. Yeah. So and then I think we need to talk a bit about the villain quotient, right? We need to talk a bit
Yes.
about Amrish Puri and Javed Jafri.
Yeah.
Also,
I didn't remember like how sympathetic really Javed Jafri's character is. Because I kind of felt bad for that kid, because Amrish Puri essentially takes him away from his mom
Yeah.
and then hands him over to the servants to raise. Then literally says,
there is a throwaway line in there when Thakral says mere paas uske liye paisa hai, time nahi.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you don't even get introduced to Vicky, but that's how his upbringing was.
which I found hilarious, because it seems that Thakral is a secret breakdance fan, because he has no time for Javed Jafri unless you're doing breakdance. Then I'll come watch it. It's like, he is there.
And in the party is like, oh, mera Vicky kitna acha dance kar raha
Yeah,
hai.
he loves. Thakral is just into breakdancing. Like, secretly, they found something to bond over.
And then of course he just grows up to be like a bigadel beta of a bada baap, and he is obviously like, so Javed and Ravi, what's his name? Ravi Kapoor. What's his
Ravi
name? The
Kapoor?
boogie woogie guy.
Oh, Ravi Bell.
Ravi Bell. So Javed Jafri and Ravi Bell were the breakdancing champions in the 80s, and that's how they found their, I mean, obviously Javed Jafri is a nepo kid, but he like really got his break in the Bollywood movies because of his breakdancing abilities. And every movie that he did in the 80s, there was like something about him breakdancing.
Man, I love 80s breakdancing, because I used to do it. I used to do breakdancing in the 80s, and
We all did.
I was just like, because I was watching a few other appearances of him, and the breakdancing in the 80s had so much storytelling in it.
I
Like,
know.
I'm a robot. I ran out of batteries. Where is the battery? Put in the battery. Now I shall start dancing again. I was like,
Here comes the wall. Here comes the wall. I've run out of wall, so I'll chase the rope.
yeah, where's the rope? Oh, where's this rope taking me? Oh, there's a wave. Oh, now there's dolphins. There's dolphins.
Yeah. Oh, I'm become a caterpillar now.
I love it. And it's like amazing storytelling. The storytelling was so amazing. You had to call all your family to watch it.
Yes.
Ab dekho, I'll tell story through dance.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So embarrassing. So embarrassing.
I mean, we were so wholesome as children. Oh my God. Kids these days could never, like everyone's doing like item dances and shit. And while we were all just like trying to figure out like how to like break the hands and like getting told off by our mothers because we were like doing the inverted feet,
Yeah.
and then like the owl.
Yeah.
And our mothers were like, no, you'll get stuck.
You'll get
walking
stuck like that.
He'll become a Ganji Chudayal. Yeah.
Man.
And on the other end of the dancing spectrum is Meenakshi Shishadri, like world-renowned Bharatanatyam dancer, but dancing on a larger-than-life, 10 times the actual size piano on a beach.
Yes.
It's amazing.
I don't remember that song at all. So when I
Oh,
watched
God, you
it, I was
didn't?
like, no, I remember. I was. It was like I was watching it for the first time, and it was great. I had such a good time watching that song.
Yeah.
So the song is Mere Khwabon Ke, right? That's the
Shehzade,
song. I love that song. It is, and I was watching it and I was like, man, it's such a complicated composition. Also, like there's the beat, like I don't know instrument. Is it a bass or it's like conga beat that they put under it? But then they change keys with the whole dil.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, what is this? It's like such a banger. And like she's doing Egyptian dancing, she's doing flamenco, she becomes a mermaid, and like Anil Kapoor is just like playing piano on the beach. It's amazing. I love that song, and then I absolutely love that song. But yeah, we were talking about Javed Jaffrey. We have to talk about Bol Baby Bol then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was a cultural moment as
Yeah.
far as I can remember, because there were lots of spoofs. There were ads being made out of that tune, and Bol Baby Bol would happen like throughout the 90s. Like every like Doordarshan, like New Year's countdown, somebody would try to dance on it. If they couldn't bring Javed Jaffrey to host and like dance on it, somebody would. That
Amrita
was
would
how
come.
big.
Amrita Joy would come.
I was doing representing all of Northeast in Bol Baby Bol. Yeah, and like again, I had a today I learned moment when I was watching it. I was like, who has sung Bol Baby Bol? And it was Kishore Kumar, guys.
Oh,
I
wow.
did not realize this was Kishore Kumar singing Bol Baby Bol.
Yeah.
It's crazy because we'll probably get to talk about it, or should I say talk
Yeah,
about it now?
let's-
The music of this movie, right? There's
Yes.
a lot of there's 3 versions of Zindagi Har Kadam Ek Nayi Jang Hai. One of them is sung by Nitin Mukesh. Lata Mangeshkar is singing all the female portions, but one of them is sung by Nitin Mukesh, which obviously we know is the son of Mukesh. And the other is sung by Shabbir Kumar. And like this was a moment when Mohammad Rafi had passed away, and so the Bollywood music system was trying to find a replacement. So we had found Shabbir Kumar on one hand, and one was Muhammad Aziz, and Shabbir Kumar was singing this for LP. And it's interesting because Shabbir Kumar has such a like he's great, but his voice has such a aggression in how he sings. There's a like push that you don't get. The sweetness of Mohammad Rafi is missing, but there is a signature like I don't know oomph to Shabbir Kumar's voice that we find in the 80s soundtracks that LP was making with Shabbir, and that is also present in Zindagi Har Kadam, and that being Anil Kapoor's voice in this is just fits. But then when they sing Zindagi Har Kadam later, when like the final scene where the family has come together, Anil Kapoor sings in Nitin Mukesh's voice. It's
like his dad.
Yeah, like his dad. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, but yeah, that whole cultural moment of Mohammad Rafi is missing, so Shabbir Kumar is singing, but Kishore Kumar is still there. It's probably one of his last few years of singing. It's crazy. But yeah.
Har Kadam is like it's such a good song because it's I realize like there's key sequences in growing up in Bollywood that have like became like it's become me, like it's become part of me.
Yeah.
One is the sequence in the graveyard in Mukaddar Ka Sikandar where Dukh To Tera Saathi Hai, Has Beta Has, that I was literally explaining that sequence to my daughter like a couple of weeks ago. She was like sad about something and I was reiterating the Kadir Khan dialogue.
Tera saathi hai.
I really was like, it's such a
Wow.
part of me. Like it's basically not the best parenting, but it helped me growing up. And the other is Har Kadam. Like life is a war, and this is how we're going to deal with it. And it's part of me because this song is clearly it's the score to a 30-year-old revenge plot.
Mhm.
It's a nursery song. It's a seduction song, and it's also great at the gym. If you want to work out, you just like add a new deadlift to it. So it's
Yeah.
probably one of the perfect songs ever.
And that whole piano section, like
Yeah.
multiple use, as you said, it's such a hook, man. Like it works on so many levels.
By the way, I would suggest, maybe I'll add it to the show notes. There's one of those Indian Idol song competitions. That's one of the singers sings in front of Shabir Kumar, Har Kadam. It is amazing. Like I don't know who the singer is. I'll try to
Okay.
find it again. But it's such a good song, and then they get all of the contestants singing the chorus part of it, and it's really moving. And then they have to do the whole thing where Shabir Kumar they focus on is like start crying Shabir Kumar,
Yeah.
and he then has to start crying. So that's shit, like I hate it. But the song itself is really good. But I want to get back to Bol Baby Bol quickly because it's such a tragedy that Javed Jaffrey didn't become a star, right? Like he has it all. Like he's so cool.
Yeah.
Like he looks great. He's tall. He has great hair at that time.
Yeah.
He dances like Hrithik Roshan.
Yeah.
He does action really well, and he's even like when he's seducing Anil Kapoor's sister, right?
Yeah.
You get it. Like you get that. I don't know if it's seducing or grooming. I don't know what's going on exactly, but
I have the line in front of me. क्या मैं एक फूल की तरह खूबसूरत लड़की को एक लड़की की तरह खूबसूरत फूल दे सकता हूँ?
that would work on a junior, like at a college in the 80s. That line would work, right?
Yeah.
So I was just like, yeah, this is actually quite sad. And like, if you go to his IMDb, he had tons of movies that he signed and they all got shelved. So, we were talking earlier about Nepo Baby, but yeah, even in the 80s, it didn't really work always, like having some, I mean, it's not that Nepo, like it's not that he could pull a
Sure, he
project.
never like achieved the stardom, but in retrospect, what we got out of that is also kind of precious, though. Like the impact of Javed Jaffrey on the whole existence of Channel V is immense.
Yeah.
And then we got Mumbai in Bombay Boys, which is again like crazy awesome. And he did that whole Firoz Khan sort of tribute in Salam Namaste as Crocodile Dundee.
And of course, he was on Indian TV. Like, there's literally nobody like Javed Jaffrey because he did Boogie Woogie, obviously, but he did
Takeshi's Castle.
Takeshi Castle.
Yeah.
Like Takeshi Castle was like huge, and then of course there's The Old is Gold, which was his flagship show on Channel V, and that
No, Channel V Flashback.
Channel V Flashback, that's what it was called.
Yeah.
And that like literally introduced entire generations of people to like the older songs, which people were at that point only listening through remixes. And he just came in and he would give you like a history lesson and as well as like a music lesson, and it was just amazing. And I am so angry that we can't find this online anymore. Like I need to have those episodes somewhere.
It would save so much research for the show. Just like watch an episode, like mehnat karwani padti hai 'cause it's not available.
It's great though, because he's been a part of the industry growing up because he's Jagdeep's son, and also on the other side you had like I think there were only two people who were doing it like they were doing it. One is Javed Jaffrey and one is Sajid Khan with his, what was that? I can't remember the show that he used to do on Sony.
I think it's just back in that day there was like one certain path to be a star, right? And he kind of deviated from that, and he did. I think people love him, I think people generally love him, but I feel somewhere he wanted to become a star. That's what he wanted, and he didn't get that. And I'm just saying that's a shame. The other thing I also really like about Bol Baby Bol, and something that I hadn't thought of, is that he gets to do a kind of a dance with a girl. Like he gets to dance with a girl, which I feel most of the Javed Jaffri songs are solo songs. Like he's just dancing on his own. The one I really like is the one in Ye Hai Mumbai Meri Jaan. Uh, um, that's a really great song, by the way, from him. But yeah, he gets to dance with a girl, which is kind of cool to see. It's a shame for the girl because she has no dancing skills whatsoever. It's like that sequence in Wanted when you have Prabhudeva Govinda and then Salman Khan in the middle. It's like,
By the way, for the people who don't know, the girl that we are talking about is Khushbu. Who, see, this is why I like, like when people are talking about, like, say, Khushi Kapoor or Junaid Khan being terrible in their second movie or whatever, like, Khushbu was a child actress, and then, this was her, I think her adult debut or whatever. And she's terrible in this, like, absolutely horrendous. Like, she cannot act to save her life. And then she went on to become like a huge star,
in South, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like,
I saw people have made temples about her. I was reading this on Wikipedia. I was like, what? Like, so the way you remember the poison scene, I remembered the way she used to say her lines, because she chews on her words so much. Like chaba chaba ke dialogue bolti thi, and just like her enunciation I remembered really well. It was just one of those funny things about Meri Jung that's kind of still stuck in my head. Yeah, she's terrible at it. Like,
and it especially shows up because she's she's paired against Anil Kapoor in most of her scenes.
Yeah,
and Anil is a beast. Like the dude can act. So he's just like blowing her out of the water in every single scene.
Anil Kapoor is living that Rocky moment, like the Eminem 8 Mile sequence where he knows this is my moment. If I do not take the opportunity, it's gonna be mom spaghetti on my shirt, basically. Like it's gonna be bad, and he just grabs it with full force and he just takes us for a ride. Like, he is such a amazing performer, right? He's basically, for the young kids translating, he's Ranveer Singh in crap, now I'm blanking on the name, the Anushka Sharma movie.
Band Baja
Barat.
Sorry, Band Baja Barat. Yeah, that moment where he just went full on, like, I am a star, I'm here. This is the kind of energy that Anil Kapoor has. And I'd also forgotten how good, like, we talk about Shah Rukh being amazing when he's like bloodied and beaten up. How good is Anil Kapoor when he's bloodied and beaten up? Like, he looks so, when he, in that final sequence where he grabs that, what is that, like a religious symbol or something?
I don't know. It's like some sort of like complicated weaponry.
Yeah, when he grabs that, stands up, and there's just blood coming out of his eyes. I was like, man, like that looks so cool on that white coat thing. And also that sequence where, like, coming back to Bol Baby Bol, we have to not forget that Amrish Puri is really enjoying the performance of Bol Baby Bol. But Amrish Puri was locked into a closet 5 minutes ago by Anil Kapoor, who came in like fucking dark man. And he was just like beating everybody up, locks him in the closet and goes away, throws the key. And I was like, man, that is just so cool. Looking cool with that amount of bandage on your face, that is acting. That is a star,
That was a particular way of showing that, the bandage is white, but there are blood spots. Like,
yeah.
And like one strategic eye.
Yeah.
It's Moon Knight.
Yeah, even the sequence. So there's a few sequences also that I want to talk about Subhash Ghai as a director, right? Like, because we've, like, all of the sequences we we're talking about, they work really well because this is such a well-made movie. Like, it's so sleek, it's so well done. But I was thinking of it because we saw Karz and this is Meri Jung, both Subhash Ghai movies, and the way his camera moves is so amazing. First of all, Javed Jaffri, he brings back the revolving table that he had. So he loves the revolving thing that he puts then now Javed Jaffri on. And then there's a sequence where sorry. where Anil Kapoor gets beaten up in the
Yep.
telephone booth.
Yep.
That is so visceral. The way they kind of cover his face with a mask and then beat him up with hockey sticks. It's just like it elevates the way, you know, he could, like, because a hero can do everything. And Anil Kapoor has basically shown he's John Wick of law in this movie, right? Like, you cannot take him down. But they take him down. They beat the crap out of him, you know, and that is like an amazing sequence. And it's really how Subhash Ghai shot it. The other one that I really wanted to point out is again the Nutan sequence, where so the sequence is Anil Kapoor. I think he lost a case, or he's very heartbroken. He's not like he's in a tough position, and they start singing Har Kadam. Meenakshi comes in, and then they're singing the song, and then Nutan, who's upstairs, she hears it.
Yeah.
So you know that Nutan is going to come down, but we see the camera in POV shot of Nutan walking down. So we don't see Nutan, we see what she is seeing. And I thought that was such an amazing way to shoot it, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes Subhash Ghai such a showmaker. The title he got of filmmaker, showmaker, that these are those sequences. And I think he's just amazing at them.
Even
I will say though about that particular sequence that Nutan's expression and are legitimately scary because
scary.
you're just like, what is it? She looked like a serial killer watching them embrace, and then she goes like, "Tum dono gana acha gaate ho," and I was like, "Oh shit, she's gonna go nuclear." and then Anil just like runs to the piano and then just goes like bing 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 bing, and then she's just like, "Wait."
Sun tu, ma, sun.
By the way, we were talking yesterday, like Shah Rukh is a high bar on cinematic, piano skills. Anil is a close second, and both of them can't play the piano.
Yes. I mean, that's what I remember. There was a time when like Rishi Kapoor was asked about like playing the guitar or something, and he was like, "No, I don't know how to play the guitar because I'm an actor. My job is to act. I can play the piano. Like, it's not to actually play the guitar, you know."
I wanted to add the whole showmanship and how Subhash Ghai shoots in the last scene where not the last scene, but the scene where Anil is rescuing his mother and he gets beaten up, but he goes mental with that metal block and he starts beating up the people. He jumps on the taxi and then beats up people. But there's one scene where you see the action just follow Anil 360 and it doesn't cut and he's just going mental. It probably is a little bit sped up to make it more urgent, but it's shot so well. We don't see like action scenes like that, like unless it's something like Kill or whatever, but here it's like it doesn't look away. It doesn't cut every 2 frames. It's so great.
Yeah, he's basically shooting it like Anil Kapoor is beating up the camera. Basically, he's hitting the thing and then they're intercutting. It's such a great way to shoot that sequence. Again, very visceral. But I also have to say, like, I don't know about you guys' sprint, but didn't it feel like the last shots were they just gave up?
Yeah,
like
I don't know if it was a censor issue or whatever because it became a bit gruesome. It felt like Thakral was stuck between the door.
Jamming him in the door, right? Or
I don't know if it's a print issue. Whether the print was
I remember
lost.
it this way. I remember it was this way when I watched it in the 80s even.
Oh wow. Yeah, I can't remember what actually happened. Whether it was a censor issue that the censor did not pass it, they had to cut it, and just the voice of Arun talking over it. But it did feel like something happened.
Because it's such a shame because the dialogue is so powerful.
Yeah.
He says, "Isne mujhe khoon ke aasu pilaye hain." Like, I was like, man, that is like, this is Salim Javed dialogue, And it just gets like all weird. And I also just like the fact that it's a 3-hour legal drama, but at the end they just end up beating each other up, like there's a time for talking and then there's a time for taking a iron rod and then beating everybody up. And I
would definitely like to know, like, from the insiders who worked on this movie or from the horse's mouth Subhash Ghai himself, what actually happened in those last final reels of the climax scene where it gets all edited out.
What do you think of Meenakshi? We haven't talked about Meenakshi too much. I mean, it's kind of Anybody has some thoughts on Meenakshi in this?
She gets to do what, it's pretty much a flower pot role, but she has some fiery scenes, especially the one where she is trying to convince Anil to pick up the case. We get that classic over the shoulder, but you look at my back, and but I will give you some gyan in this scene. It was fabulous to watch that, and then the piano dance song, and she also gets to sing in Lata Mangeshkar's voice in Meri Jung.
I was taken aback by the fact that when in her introductory scene with, not her introductory scene, but the first time she meets Anil Kapoor and they're, talking about her sister's case, and she's just sitting opposite him, and she's very like, she's got that bright 80s lipstick on, which is a very particular shade of like dark red that I don't think anyone wears anymore. And it's like this high gloss lipstick, and she's talking. And the whole thing, even the way that she speaks, reminded me so much of Sridevi in that particular scene. It sounded like Sridevi was talking. The makeup was very Sridevi reminiscent. Everything about it was like, I was literally taken aback. And I thought, like, maybe, was that the mood board? Like, did Subhash Ghai want Shri and then like settled for Meenakshi? Like, I don't know.
I mean, I think Meenakshi was the 80s heroine at that time, right? Like, it was like she was the top one. But I think also watching Meri Jung, you understand why they didn't have much to do in the 80s, the heroines, right? Like, in a way, would be interchangeable. Sridevi, be it Sridevi, be it Jaya Prada, be it, like you could interchange any of these and it would have been.
I disagree about Shri. Like as we spoke about when we were talking about like Nagina, for instance, like Shri was in a class by herself.
But I think Nagina happened after, na. So I think Nagina changed. We would talk about this on the Nagina episode. But yeah, she's a superstar. But there's so many. I'm saying, that could have been interchangeable. But Meenakshi was one of the top ones at that time, and unfortunately, she doesn't get to do much. She dances great. I think she's great at the dances. The one few sequences she gets, she looks good too. Like I think the dressing and stuff is much better than we've seen in other movies. So I do think. Subhash Ghai was...
I think the 80s were cruel on these heroines.
Yeah.
Like Meenakshi didn't get her truly deserved acting creds until like Damini, which happened like mid-90s or something.
Yeah.
And that's a Rajkumar Santoshi, totally different aesthetic than the Subhash Ghai.
Yeah. Any other random sequences, any random scenes you want to call out?
Oh my God, so many. Like, dear. Obviously, we get a Ghai cameo in the middle of a masquerade ball. They really love their masquerade ball, man. Parikshit Sahani says, "What is this?" a lot.
Yeah.
Can I just say, like, wasn't it funny that his takya kalam is "What is this?"
Yeah.
When if your wife is hearing your husband say "What is this?" 100 times a day, shouldn't she check "What is this?" on the label before she injects her patient? What is this? Maybe ask it at the right time,
Yeah.
There was the Beena Rai and Parikshit Sahni live in the house, the Madailand house. It makes its appearance.
It's Andaz Apna Apna house. Is that the one? Oh, okay.
Dear. Oh, and Vicky dances to the Ghostbusters theme at some point.
I also love in the breakdancing is the 80s breakdancing. You have like the slide, you have the moonwalk, but then you also have high kicks. It's like who has high kicks in the
breakdancing? Main bhi kick mare. And in the middle of Bol Baby Bol, they shoot outdoors, right? Is that a Bombay Stock Exchange, by the way? It looks so pristinely clean, the streets. Like I've never seen Mumbai so clean.
Even the final fight, I don't know where that was happening, but it looked really cool. It almost felt like 80s New York or something like that, like Black Rain, that movie with Michael Douglas. It was really well shot the way it was. I had Gajani is prosecutor here. Gajani was prosecutor. Yeah. I love in these movies that you have these random people popping up that you see all the time. You have Dr. Saab that comes in, Kedarnath Segal.
Mhm.
You know that sequence where Amrish Puri is playing chess with Dr. Saab? And Dr. Saab, obviously, he's useless as he always is. And then Anil Kapoor alphas it. He's like, "Let me finish up the game. I'll win for
Is
you."
this Iftikhar you talk about?
Iftikhar is there. He's the one
Yeah.
who comes in and
Yeah, no, but Dr. Saab is playing
He's
with
also- yeah, he's
the guy who's,
Kedarnath
actually
Sehgal. Yeah,
playing,
he's
yeah.
playing actually, and then Anil Kapoor starts playing and winning, and Dr. Saab is just knowing that he's just enjoying it so much. He's like, "This is Beyonce at the Super Bowl, you know. This is
Yeah.
like Kendrick Lamar. Like this is the best thing I've ever seen."
Yeah.
I love that, you know. Like I love these like random guys popping up. Iftikhar. I think Iftikhar just looks so cool in this, you know. Like
Yeah.
he looks like a really suave kind of.
he shows up and then he disappears.
Yeah, he has not much to do. Yeah.
He showed up for the per diem.
Yeah.
Like, thanks.
Sudhir as one of the cops, but an honest one. Like
Yeah.
imagine being
Yeah.
Sudhir and being
Well,
an honest cop. Like how is that possible?
That is the twist.
Yeah, that is the real reveal.
You don't even need to write it क्योंकि शक्ल से कमीना है
Yeah.
दिल का साफ है.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Anil Kapoor gets a drunk angry scene when
Yeah.
he's like drunk at the party and totally like
Mhm.
inebriated, and he's like fuming, and like he goes to confront Amrish Puri at this seminar of sorts, and he gets to talk.
Man,
all the time.
Amrish Puri Thakral comes in and he's got like this whole, you know, legal capital based punishment comedy routine going on.
Uh-huh.
And then, you know, like, he got jokes, man. He got the audience on his side, and Anil Kapoor just angry young man's it, you know, like,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah. But I do think, like, what makes Anil Kapoor such a star, in my opinion, is that this was an Amitabh movie.
Mhm.
You have a drunk sequence in it, and drunk scenes are Amitabh's big thing, right? Like he's known for them.
Yeah.
Anil Kapoor makes it his own. And I think
for
sure.
that's where the change is happening. That's where is like, you know, this is a star, this is a performer. And I think that's what makes him stand out from anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only is he angry and drunk, but you can see the sadness in him. Like there's so much like pent up misery and
I mean,
sorrow
we've
in
been
his.
talking about like how he's playing this, like everything is dialed up to 11, but there's that scene where he sees the piano, and then, you know, like and then it's like a horror movie where like he plays the tune, and then he looks up, and then suddenly there's like 500 people staring at him from nowhere, and they're like, now comes the singing, like you need to sing.
It's
and
like
then
Children of the Corn.
Yeah.
You know, like all blonde people looking at you holding whiskey glasses.
Ab gao, Arun.
and he's talking to Parikshit Sani and Beena Rai after that, and they're like, what is this? You haven't asked us for any money. And he's like, can you just give me this piano? And they're just like, this piano? This filthy old piano that we hate, you want this? And he's like, but I really want it.
No,
And-
the line is beautiful. I didn't write it down, but it's like
No, no.
something like
Ab
this.
deng-
This piano holds my hopes and dreams. Like it
No,
has.
it's name is saaz mein kai geet chupe hain.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what it
so
says.
beautiful. It's so beautiful.
And,
It's a
and
Javed
then-
Akhtar line.
Yeah.
Freaking hell.
And then he says, he looks at Parikshit Sani and he says, "Aap denge na?" And he says it with such sweetness and such vulnerability.
Yeah.
And, you know, like that is actually like, even though Anil is really great at being the action hero, it is that little hint of vulnerability that is like really endearing.
And also like he's the softness that he plays in many moments. Like he's done many other soft movies, like literally the year after this he does Chameli Ki Shadi, guys, you
Yeah.
know. And we saw him do Wo Saat Din before this. It's crazy the transformation that this man can bring in a role. It's crazy.
The court sequence where he's talking, where he's accusing Javed Jafri of having killed, and he's wearing a certain coat, and he brings out the knife and the coat, and he starts crying while he's basically doing the Bugs Bunny defense, right? Like this is your coat, that is your your quote. This is your quote. See, it was the other quote. I was lying all the time. This wasn't the quote. It was the quote. It was the white quote.
Like Anil learned from the best. He's
I
using
know.
Thakral's tricks on Thakral himself. It's crazy. The
So-
other twist that I never saw coming was that the girl that Javed Jaffrey was tricking and getting
Yeah.
abortion is
Yes.
A.K. Hungal's daughter, guys. The little girl that we see in the beginning, it's her that gets stabbed by Javed Jaffrey. I never saw that coming. And then we see A.K. Hungal on a crutch. And it's like another Bollywood tragedy.
A.K. Hungal's bad luck goes on to the next generation.
Yeah.
It's like he
so
gets
sorry.
no breaks, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I love the A.K. Hungal sequences in the second part because he holds his crutches and they're like higher than his face. And he's like, I really need these, He's, like, he's not putting them on the floor. He's like, my crutches.
Yeah.
These clutches cost money, and I want you to see them.
Yeah.
So Subhash guy is like, put them in frame, Hungal. So you see that, Raktu.
पनवेल से लाया है.
50 रुपए per day.
Yeah, exactly.
My favorite line delivery also from Anil Kapoor was ये 15 साल में जो औरत पागल खाने में है वो मेरी माँ है.
Oh, speaking of which, so they have a picture of her in their living room, and they have obviously been thinking that their mom is dead, but because they don't have an actual picture, it's a painted picture of it.
No, they do have an actual picture though. There's like a scene I remember because I was like, I don't know where they got that photo from because they have a photo of Nutan in like one of the scenes, but it's like a smaller sized one. And then they have like a painting also. So I'm just like, I don't understand.
This is an 80s thing. My dad has a hand-painted picture of him in our drawing room, and we have other pictures, but my uncle made this by hand. It looks amazing. We had it for 40 years. And I think that's just one of those 80s things.
That's so vain. It's like in Hum Aapke Hain Kaun, when you enter Salman's bedroom, there's a large portrait of Salman Khan on his own wall. It's like, what the hell, guys? We used to have Pamela Anderson on the wall, not your own fucking face. But yeah, sure.
I love this movie, guys. I love this movie. I really wish talking about this will make people rewatch it, try to find it. It has a great print on Ultra YouTube, I think, but it doesn't have subtitles. So there's another print. If you do search for with subtitle, it is available, but the print is much lesser quality than the one it is, unfortunately. So it is available out there. It's I think it was even available on Prime for a while, but it disappeared in the last few weeks when I was trying to rewatch it. So yeah. Amrita, any final thoughts on Meri Jung?
I think I'm pleased by our decision to watch this.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you. If I've not, conveyed enough how much I love this movie. Sujoy, what about Meri Jung?
Meri Jung defines the 80s for me, man. It's the whole Subhash guy aesthetic. It appears right bang in the middle of the 80s, and it's like, it stands tall as the 80s movie for me. Anil Kapoor is probably, acting the heck out of it. It's probably one of the the strongest of his career, I would say. Like, there's other roles, obviously, you would think, but Anil Kapoor as the angry young man, this is such a great movie.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely, this movie is part of my DNA. It's one that I absolutely love. I even worry about the rest of the series if I'll enjoy any movie as much as I do Meri Jung. I actually watched it last night and I want to watch it again. Like, that's how much I love this movie, and I think I'm going to watch it every week now. It's just like it boosts up your adrenaline. Like, this movie is just like gives you like, like Rocky, like, I'm gonna punch some people. It's just amazing.
It's like the big ghode ka injection that Salman gives to Amir.
Exactly. It's amazing. It's everything that I love in cinema. And there are moments that are absurd. There's melodramatic movie moments. There's actually not that many songs. There's only like 3 songs, right? Because there's 4 reprises of the same song basically. But all of those are bangers, so I really, really loved it. Amrita, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Blue Sky and on Twitter at Amrita IQ.
Sujoy?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at 93K. And you can also find Khandaan Podcast on all our socials at Khandaan Podcast. Do check out our YouTube at Khandaan Podcast, where we are bringing a lot more video content soon. That's where you can support us.
And also join us on Patreon, where you will be finding Amrita's thoughts on badass Ravi Kumar as a bonus for this episode. Just hilarious to record. Also, this series, you get it earlier ad free on Patreon if you join there. It's a great community of great people. Not like our Instagram, it feels like. But it's actually quite positive. So I'm Arasim Bernie, and thank you for listening.
Khandaan Podcast from VIP Glottis. Papa, are you podcasting again?